Mic check 1 2 1 2. What is going on, Florida State family, Seminole Nation, and the 863 tribe? It's been a minute. It's your boy POLK, a.k.a. 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 the goddamn truth. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. It took a lot for me to even motivate myself to do a live stream. If I'm being completely honest, I haven't seen a reason to really come on and talk about anything. There's not a lot going on. There's not how do I put this? How do I put this? There isn't enough going on for me to justify creating a bunch of videos and live streams to talk about the same old talking points that I feel like everybody's just rehashing. Um, so I had to I took a break. I took a hiatus a little bit. Not to mention, I'm also preparing for this move very, 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 very shortly. Um, so we will be doing content from Korea for most of the year. By the way, if you weren't tracking that, you should be now. Um, so a lot of stuff going on. I just didn't see a need. And the only reason I got on here tonight because it's been a while since I checked in, so I figured I'd check in, see what's going on, check in with the people. Had the people check in with me, and then this will probably be the last live stream from the States for a while. So figure we get one last good look at the studio, because this ain't gonna be the look come the time for the season. So figure I touch bases with everybody. But yeah, man, the college football. How do you describe it? The college football just talking space is kind of just blah. Like National Signing Day was this week. The early signing day is the National Signing Day, but the official National Signing Day was it Wednesday? It was Wednesday, Tuesday. But today's Thursday. I think National Signing Day was Tuesday. I don't know. It was sometime this week, and it's like nobody cared. Why was there to care? FSU did have an edition on National Signing Day, but that was again no point of kind of talking about that. We've hashed that out already. Kind of talked about uh, the DN that reclassed. You feel me? So I feel like, man, there's just a lot of same old content that's kind of getting pushed out there. So I figure I'll let everybody else handle that, and I'll just take a break. Not to mention, it's hard to even have the football conversations um, when everything just devolves into the typical troll. So, but tonight we'll come on here, we'll chat about whatever. I don't even, again, I push myself to come on here. I don't even have a topic for anybody. I don't have a topic to really push out there. Just figured I'd come on here and kick it for a little bit. So we're just gonna do one of those impromptu kind of live streams and just talk about whatever pops up in the comment sections or whatever. I've been enjoying the Knicks. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. I know this is y'all come here for the Knowles. I've been enjoying the Knicks. If you're a basketball fan, you can put your team in the chat. But I've been enjoying the Knickerbockers and what we've been doing this year. Shout out to the Knicks, man. We got a basketball team this year. And we've been doing it with a bunch of injuries. Jalen Brunson should wholeheartedly be in the MVP discussion. I don't care what any of y'all say. So that's what I've been enjoying since college football has all but died down. This is usually the time of year where college football kind of dies down anyway. You can get your little break in. And of course, once spring, everything ramps back up. Because right after spring, you get into the summer recruiting. And you know how big time summer recruiting is. And then, of course, the season starts shortly after that. So this time of year, you know, it's usually a typical time of year where it kind of dies down a little bit. Anyway, there's been a lot of interviews. So I've peeped a lot of interviews of Marvin Jones Jr. and Earl Little. And so a lot of the newcomers have been introduced to the fan base. So y'all should go check those out if you haven't. Cool little interviews. I'm still excited about what this team's going to look like come fall. The roster is, somebody said, the Seattle Supersonics. Maybe they'll come back one day. I think the Supersonics will come back one day. Don't know when. They may come back. McKinney's I guess he's an Oklahoma City fan. I don't know. So yeah, I think I'm still excited about the makeup of this team. The additions. I think they had a strong off season. So a lot of optimism. But that's every fan base, right? Every fan base has that optimism this time of year because the recruiting rankings have just ended. And everybody feels excited about the new pieces. Everybody's players are underrated and should have been ranked higher than they were. And we're going to go into the off season and they're going to hit the weight room. They're going to get coached up by storms and they're going to do all of these things. Spring, you're going to get all of these things, and then we'll all be optimistic for the start of the season. That's every fan base. The good thing for our fan base is we live in a place of reality. So usually we hit you over here with real expectations. Let's get to a roll call, and then we'll just kind of, again, it's kind of like how I'm doing. Just kind of go with the flow and talk about whatever it is going on. So hit the like button, y'all. Subscribe and share. I don't even expect a huge crowd in here tonight. I haven't been live. I don't know. When's the last time I went live? Like 3 weeks ago? I don't even know the last time I went live. And I don't even know the last thing we talked about when I went live. That's how long it's been, man. I haven't, again, I've had no want to come on here and talk much about anything. I feel like a lot of other people are taking care of that. Peter Shields is in the building. Blake Roberts, Montre, FSU Tony, KCD, Panama Jack, Jeff Hill, 904 Davis, Omar Long, Grill Master, Island Boy, Insane, Kenny Ken. And that is it. At least that's it. That's in the comment section. So, Insane Mom says the next two expansion teams in the NBA will be Vegas and Seattle. Two West Coast teams. That means somebody from the West is going to have to move from the East. I wonder who that would be. What would be a West team that they would – because if you add Las Vegas and Seattle, you're going to have to move somebody from the West to the East. I mean, hell, theoretically, no, you're going to have to move two teams from the West to the East. Would you move Memphis and New Orleans? Because they're kind of semi, they could pass for East. So who is that, Insane? Who are the two teams that from the West you'd have to move teams? Minnesota, I don't know. I don't know about Minnesota. Memphis makes sense to me. I do think Memphis makes sense. Minnesota, man, I don't know about that. I feel like Minnesota is definitely a Western team. But New Orleans makes sense. Like Memphis and New Orleans make sense to me. Minnesota, definitely. Jeff says, I like the interviews. I watch all of them. And of course, off the field with the suing of the ACC getting heated up a little. We can talk a little bit about that. I think there's some interesting things actually coming from that lawsuit. Some lawyers on Twitter. Now they're on Twitter, but I think they're valid sources, so to speak, have been speaking up about that lawsuit and what's kind of transpiring there. And so there's some interesting things happening with the lawsuit. As I believe FSU has filed for a dismissal of the ACC's lawsuit. I don't sit here and pretend to go and even read any of that stuff. From what I vaguely read, yes, sir. Okay, bye, sir. What I vaguely read was something about before the ACC sued Florida State, they had to get a certain amount of votes. They did not get those votes according to something. Again, you guys probably know more or care. You guys probably care more about it than I do, quite frankly. So you guys have probably looked more into that than I have. So ACC, I think, looking for dismissal in the state of North Carolina of the AC, or the Florida State's looking for dismissal in the state of North Carolina for the ACC's lawsuit or something to that. So, I mean, we talked about it kind of when it first happened. Like, I don't think FSU was ever going to go this route unless they were pretty confident. And it seems like the university did their due diligence, and it seems like the ACC is trying to save whatever face they have. So we'll see what happens with that. Amari Williams was a huge pickup. I think Amari Williams is a good pickup for sure. But I'll say the same thing about Amari that I said about Blount. You got a reclass. I don't expect him to contribute much year one. And that's fine. I'm not so sure you need him necessarily when you added MJ. You added 3 DNs out of the portal. So I'm not so sure you're going to really need Amari to contribute. So you give him that buffer year next year. And maybe, and what would have been his true freshman year as a probably redshirt freshman, he'll be a step further. Both Minnesota and New Orleans sit right off the Mississippi River. One is way north. The other is, thanks for the geography lesson, insane. Are we still in the running for the transfer? I haven't heard anything about that. I know he had visited, I think this past weekend, talking about Cam Riley, if I'm not mistaken. I heard he visited. He said he's very, that is one of the more interesting prospects. I don't know if I've ever seen a 6'5" linebacker. Personally, can somebody give me an example of a 6'4" middle linebacker, 6'5" middle linebacker? I'm not saying he can't play. I mean, I looked at his stats. He's been a solid linebacker his entire career at Auburn. I don't know if he's like a world beater. Probably better than most of what we have on our roster. I don't know how that's gonna go, but we'll see. I don't know what's taking that decision so long, but we will see. But Grillmaster says you got to wait till May for him because he's gonna graduate. So he's gonna be a grad transfer. He says Matthew Thomas was 6'4". Fair enough, but Matthew Thomas wasn't as thick as this guy. What was Matthew Thomas? 6'4", 230 at the most. I think Cam Riley's listed. He's listed like a defensive end. When I look at him, he's 6'5", 255 or 245, 50 pounds. I mean, so that's just me. Hold on a second, people. So there's that. So yeah, Cam Riley. I guess that's probably the only. Cam Riley's probably the only maybe guy that we're waiting on here. Will he probably be the last addition? I mean, I think so. Now, granted, we don't know what's going to happen because I definitely think after the after the spring ball, that stuff will pick up again, and FSU will look to, there will be guys who leave, obviously, and more guys will come in. So, but as of right now, he's probably the last guy you're looking at to add. Yeah, let's continue. Let's say FSU out no later than 26. I can believe that for sure. What's up, Todd? What up? We got a lot of preferred. Yeah, so this time of year is also the year where they get their preferred walk-on guys. Absolutely. We got to wait until May. Oh, talk about that one. Matthew Thomas 6'4". Mississippi State had one. What was his name? Category 5. The Mississippi State linebacker. Tommy Polley. Tommy Polley wasn't 6'5". Tommy Polley wasn't 6'5". I think Tommy Polley's listed at like 6'3". Tommy Polley was not 6'5". Who do you have in the Super Bowl? I think it's two great stories. Believe it or not, man, I thought it would be Baltimore and San Francisco, even though I was rooting for Detroit. I think it's two cool stories at the quarterback position because Pat Mahomes, he's on the track record of, when we talk about greatness, all timeness, Mahomes is on that trajectory, and he's kind of fast track. How old is Patrick Mahomes, guys? Is he even 26 yet? Let me Google that. How old is Patrick Mahomes? I don't think Patrick Mahomes is even like 29 yet. Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is 28. Okay. Born in 95. Guy's not even 30 yet. He's played in 3 Super Bowls, 1, 2. He's about to play in his 4th one. Patrick Mahomes he's an incredible, obviously quarterback, incredible talent. I think he's one of the most incredible talents we've ever seen at that position. And he's on the trajectory, man, of, if there's a guy that's going to challenge those 7 rings, it's that, Pat Mahomes, he's on that trajectory. But I think Purdy on the other side is another incredible story. I mean, you're talking about the literal last pick in the draft, the literal mystery relevant. For him to be in this position is a great story. With all that said, I'm picking the Chiefs. It's hard for me to bet against Patrick Mahomes. I'm picking the Chiefs. Kendrick Ross has 3 dots. I'm curious about his fit. I mean, Auburn ran more of a 3-4 hybrid. Yeah, they did. Again, I'm curious about how they use him as well. When people were first talking about him, I didn't really know where they would want to use him. I assume because they have the habit of listing a guy at linebacker, especially if he's coming from 3-4. He's listed at backer, but he's really an edge rusher. That's what I thought, but apparently he's not. What's going on, Randy Yates? Blackshear says McKinney. Yeah, it's going to be the Chiefs. It's rigged. Is it Taylor Swift, J-No? Is that why it's rigged? Why would it? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that some sports don't have some questionable things going on. I think the fight game is the one sport that you can definitely go with being rigged at times. I have a hard time thinking that football and sports that involve a multitude of individuals, you're trying to tell me that all 20, just the 22 starters, let alone, like, you're trying to tell me everybody on the entire football roster knows it's rigged and they're just going along with the with the script? Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily believe it, but we're all entitled to our opinions. Purdy could become Kurt Warner. Well, Kurt Warner was a more talented quarterback, but yeah, man. Again, incredible story. Kurt Warner, I think he was like bagging groceries, man, before he became the quarterback of the Rams or something like that. Grimmaster said, we got so many edge guys. If Riley does come here, he'll be I think so. I think he'll definitely be used as a linebacker. And I agree. We got more than enough edge guys. I won't say more than enough, but we definitely got, obviously that's it. We added the 3. We still got Pat, and then you still got the guys that were already on the roster. Jaden Jones and Dante Anderson and Lamont Green Jr. How does he look in his redshirt freshman year? Has he bulked up any? I'm probably missing a guy or 2 even. Byron Turner. Forgot about Byron Turner. Byron Turner's a big one, as we kind of jump around topics here. Byron Turner is a big one. Byron Turner is a guy who could see very interesting for Byron Turner because FSU added 3 DNs. Pat's solidified, right? Pat's going to probably be a starter. I'm very impressed by the Oregon State guy. And I know there's a little bit of a language barrier there, but I would watch an interview from him, and you need guys like him. He's going to come in, and I don't know how good he's going to be. He might not get 4 sacks on the year, but what I do know is he's going to come and he's going to bring that lunch pail to work, so to speak, every single day. That's what I know. That's the guy that raises your floor. That's the guy where if you're not playing hard enough, he'll take your snaps, period. I love that addition. Is it Durage? I believe how you pronounce that last name. The first name Tawambe. He is the high ceiling guy. He's the guy who, if he gets it all together, probably has some and I know we use the word elite too much, but probably has a little bit more elite level measurables. And, so Byron Turner is and then of course Marvin Jones Jr., right? Byron Turner, I don't know, man. He's gonna have to compete for those snaps. Byron Turner he's gonna have to. And I thought Byron Turner played well in his kind of first real year, not being injured. But I think he's the guy at risk. If we talk about who could potentially transfer after spring, I think Byron Turner is one of the first names, in my opinion, that come up as a risk. I'm not saying he will. I'm not saying I want him to. What I'm saying is there's competition in that room, and Byron Turner's got to step his game up. Right? Tell me if you guys agree or not, but I think Chiefs Are the New Patriots is a TV show, not real sports. Cam looks like a beast. I'm going to get right here, right now. You guys can adopt the nickname. You don't have to, but I'm listening to Cam Davis's interview, and I'm listening to this 18-year-old sound like a 36-year-old, a 46-year-old, damn near looks like a 46-year-old. The nickname I have given Cam Davis, and again, we can adopt it. We can make it a thing. I'm giving him this nickname, so if you ever hear it anywhere else, they got it from me. I'm calling him Deacon Davis. That is Deacon Davis. Cam Davis is Deacon Davis, man. That's a grown man. I'm not so sure he's 18. Was he born in Cuba? Somebody check his birth certificate. Cam Davis, Deacon Davis. If anyone is rigging anything, it's the refs. It'd be tough to get players to coordinate like that. Yeah. And I can understand somebody saying no. Especially now, like in basketball, the refs will definitely have a bigger effect, in my opinion, than in football. But when we talk about football, like the refs can't rig like missing and making field goals, like missing and breaking tackles, like throwing touchdowns. Like there's so much nuance to a football game and so much going on. I'm not saying the refs can't have an impact, but like I always say when we talk about referees, usually the game ain't won or lost with that one bad call. You let the game stick around maybe longer than it should have. Like when we talk about the Giants beating the Patriots that one year that they were undefeated. Like people said Patriots were rigged, and there were some things that went in the Patriots' favor. Like the dynasty probably doesn't even get started without the fumble. What was that? What was it called? The fumble against Oakland. What was the term for that? The tuck rule. That was a fumble. That was a fumble, right? The dynasty doesn't get started without that. That's a blown call. Then I can understand why you say, "Oh, the Patriots." That's the 9/11. I get all of that. But then why wouldn't they want the Patriots to break the Dolphins' record? If that was the case, right? You can't rig that Tyree catch. You can't rig that. That happened, right? You can't. I don't know how you rig that. I don't know how you. So there's things like that. I hear you, Jay. I hear you. Again, I like conspiracies, bro. I'm with them sometimes. Again, basketball, I'm more keen to listen to some basketball stuff because we've seen some stuff in basketball, and then basketball has legitimately called a ref. Like they've legitimately called a ref who was betting on games that he was refereeing. So right? What was that guy's name again? If anybody knows, put it in the chat. So basketball, and I'll listen to that one. Football, got D.D. Holmes, Amari. Do you think we'll get another defensive tackle? It will be after spring if we do. It'll be after spring if we do. D-line has definitely stayed fresh. You think Cam Davis has a good opportunity of starting? I think Cam Davis will definitely be in the rotation early. I don't know about start. And I don't think you need him to start. You feel me? I don't think you need him to start. I just think you need him. He'll definitely get his opportunities for sure. Definitely get his opportunities. Again, he's 46 years old. Someone check his birth certificate. I'm pretty sure Deacon Davis is 46 years old. So, yeah. Some other new guys that can have an impact. You got to kind of separate it from obviously the Donahue. That is the guy, but you got to separate like the because all the transfer guys should have an impact. I mean, that's what you brought them in for. As far as new guys, like I think you get a chance to figure out what D.D. Somebody mentioned D.D. Holmes. I think it was Grillmaster. I think FSU has a chance to figure out, because you added so much guys, you get a chance to figure out, is D.D. Holmes an edge guy, or do you move him inside? He has the frame. He's 6'6", I believe, 250, and has the frame. If you wanna have Daryl Jackson 2.0, he probably has the frame to fill that out. So I think you want to figure out what is D.D. Holmes, and you'll have a chance because you won't have to rush D.D. Holmes out there for sure. All right, and you hear my phone just keeps going crazy. And then Amari, obviously you're going to sit Amari year one as he kind of comes out of high school, like 215 pounds. But he has all the athleticism world. I mean, most of his I think most of Amari's highlights are like him catching the ball. Cause I think he played tight end and D end. And obviously FSU wants him rushing the passer. And obviously, yeah, I'm excited to see Cam. I agree. Paulie was like 6'3". Lester looks like he's settling in well. Kendall Fryer is going to be a dog. I'm excited. Believe it or not, I'm excited for our wide receivers. I think our wide receivers. First of all, I'm excited just to have a wide receiver like a Camden Fryer. When's the last time FSU had our own Julian Edelman or Wes Welker? I don't know. Not in my time watching have we had one. Can't think of one. I'm excited for that. We need shirts that say Deacon David. I like, hey, make them. But I feel, hey, that's what I'm calling them. Again, if you heard it somewhere else, they got it from me because I ain't heard nobody say it till I said it. Deacon Davis. Who's your starting? You meant who's, but yeah, who's your starting corners? Great question. I stand by what I said. Last few times I was doing live. So I stand what I said a month or so ago. It wouldn't shock me if Earl Little was playing outside. I know they talked a lot about. I listened to Earl's interview. He talked about his versatility. There's the thought that he's a safety, nickelback tweener. And I understand that. You still have Cypress on this team. Of course, AZ, we're pretty much all confident AZ's locking down one of the outside spots. But it just wouldn't shock me if Earl Little was able to do that, especially when you talk about Greedy Vance. One of the things that I've been picking up a lot on listening to Kai Bates, listening into Jamari Howard, listening to Charles Lester, these young guys who all have been interviewed this week, is how important Greedy Vance is, how important a player like Greedy Vance is. They all mentioned that Greedy Vance is taking time to teach them, like the playbook, go over things after practice. Guys like Greedy is critical. Greedy doesn't have the highest ceiling. He's a very small corner, but he has a big heart and he plays tough, but he doesn't have the highest upside. What is Greedy? 5'8", 5'9", 170 pounds. But he's so critical to building those type of championship level teams because you need guys like that take the time to mentor. Greedy has something I believe, and I've always said this: leaders are not made, they are born. You cannot manufacture leadership. You can try, and you can try to put somebody in a leadership position and tell them you're going to lead the troops in the battle, so to speak, but it's going to fold when it hits the fan. I promise you, it's going to fold. Because leaders can't be made, leaders are born. I believe Greedy Vance is just naturally that. And when all these young players keep talking about the same name I keep hearing, Greedy, 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 I have a very high appreciation for Greedy Vance. And because he's mentoring guys that probably will take his position, right? And that's hard to do because everybody he's mentoring is just naturally more gifted than him. Earl Little comes in. He's just naturally more gifted. Edwin Joseph, who I know had an injury, but, like all the guys that we're talking about, they're just probably better football players than Greedy in terms of the measurables. But Greedy has that. He's got that thing in his chest. And he's got that mentality of leadership. So I want to show some love to Greedy Vance from everything I've heard from the young players. But my starters are probably, again, I don't count out Earl Little. But if you had to make me pick in February 8th, 2024, it's probably going to be Cypress and AZ to start the year out. That's probably my guess with Earl at the nickel. That's probably my guess. Vontae says go Knowles. All the receivers we got coming back, plus the receivers we got through the portal, a lot of talent, a lot of speed. Definitely a lot of speed. Speed was the main thing they wanted to address, obviously, in the offseason. Absolutely some speed in that room. And yeah, I agree. A lot of talent in that room. I'm still not convinced we're done seeing movement at receiver in terms of guys maybe leaving. Because of what we're talking about here. Like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Like, I would love to see Tron. Some of the older receivers is really what I'm talking about. Like, I would love to see Kentron. I'd love to see Darian Williamson do something, right? But, I mean, if Hakeem has that growth that we expect, if Dustin Hill has that growth that we expect, it's like, I don't know. They're talking about taking snaps away from guys, Malik Benson. What about Jaylen Brown? They add that layer of speed that these other guys don't have, right? Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then will any of the freshman receivers make an impact? I'm not so sure. I believe receiver is kind of a hard position for freshmen to come in and make true impacts. But who knows, right? It's crazy that a lot of those re-upped another year with Battles and that's true too. And a lot of those guys absolutely did re-up. You're not wrong. That's not like concrete. At least I don't think so. You could still, depending on what happens, but it does give like stability in the roster. So we'll see what happens. There's still names that I don't get really worried, but I do wonder why there's certain names that I don't see in the Battles in. Like, I don't think I've ever seen Julian Armella announce anything with Battles in. Now, I don't know if that's maybe he's with another collective, or I don't know. But Julian Armella is always a name that I'm like, why don't I ever see him? Because I don't believe last offseason he was in the Battles in. I don't think so. I could be wrong. But I know I haven't seen him this offseason, right? So there are certain names that I go, I would like to see this guy because I like this guy or I have high hopes for this guy. Armella's kind of the first name that comes out, but Lucas Simmons, I've seen he signed with the Battles in, right? So I don't think I've seen early sign with the Battles in either. So some of those young old linemen, man, that we have some expectations for this year. Again, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I've seen early. Armella, Estes. Yeah, man. I don't. Again, that's just. I'm not saying anything. Might be something to watch, though. Might be something to watch. I don't think I've seen announcements of any of those guys. So that's going to be interesting going forward. Robert Scott. Robert Scott's been here so long, I'm not even bored. I actually think I did see Robert Scott. I'm almost positive I saw Robert Scott. I'm not 100% sure. I almost think I did. I think Robert Scott did his extremely early. But he's already been here so long, I'm not worried about Robert Scott. Some of those younger guys would probably be somebody I might pay attention to of why they haven't signed on to the collective. What else? What more is there to talk about? What other questions do we have? As far as I am concerned, obviously, I think FSU had a great offseason. There's been a lot of coach movements. Coaches are getting tired of, and I'm not even shocked at this. As a matter of fact, I think I spoke to this when I was talking about kind of like the death of college football. I'm almost positive I mentioned this, but coaches are tired of recruiting, man. Recruiting is not the same. You can't ask these guys to recruit on three different. You're asking these guys to fight a war on three different fronts, and they're not able to. And not that they're not able to do it, but man, it takes a lot out of a coach to say recruit high school kids, recruit your own players, and recruit someone else's players who are currently on the roster right now. If you want to be successful in today's age of college football, all along with everybody getting dangled different carrots in front of their face in terms of the NILs and everything that just comes with the nature of recruiting right now. I don't blame, like I said, I think coaches deserve every dollar they get. And I don't blame any coach that says, you know what, college is no longer for me. Let me go coach some NFL ball. I absolutely understand it. And I don't think it's going to slow down. And I want to be clear, I don't think FSU is immune from any of this either. I know we like to say, oh, Mike Norvell's great. He kept the staff together. And yes, there's definitely truth to that. But don't think for a second that some of these coaches aren't tired of the fiasco. I mean, how many early signing days does Mike Norvell have to get burned before you think that Mike's tired of Travis Hunter and KJ Bolden and whoever else you want to name out there, right? So, yeah, I think you're going to see it pick up. Some coaches are built for more college football, but until they start regulating maybe the NFL stuff, the NIL stuff, I'm not so sure, man. I'm not so sure this college coaches jumping. When I say jumping, you're having head coaches taking like position jobs or coordinator jobs in the NFL. They're not even getting head coaching opportunity. They're just giving up their head coaching at collegiate level to go be a DC somewhere. So I think that trend probably continues. Thoughts on your Knicks today? I've already talked about the Knicks earlier, man. I've been enjoying everything the Knicks have done. When I initially saw the trade today, I was like, why? But good trade, got rid of Fournier and added some good pieces. The only problem with the Knicks is, man, we are banged up. Julius hurt. I think Jalen Brunson, they played tonight, by the way. They played Dallas, but Jalen Brunson's hurt, so he won't play tonight. Julius is hurt. They just announced that OG will be out about 3 weeks. So we're banged up. But we went on such a tear in the month of January, could probably afford to be a little banged up. As long as Brunson's not out too long. And the Knicks are looking to finish top 3 in the East, which is going to be critical. And will probably get healthy around the right time. So if you're a Knicks fan, you should be excited. I know there's not a lot of Knicks fans. I feel like I'm usually the only one. What's up, the linebacker from Auburn? Don't know what's up with them. We talked about Cam Riley earlier on. What someone else said is he won't be here. If he does come here, it won't be till he graduates. So it'll be like a grad transfer. So we won't know about Riley until springtime, most likely. I'm kind of scared of FSU versus FSU game. I don't know why you would be, but I wish I was actually going to that game. Shout out to Rhett Lashley, but I think I went over this to my last stream, actually. FSU didn't have a win against a quality team last year. I know they went 11-2 or whatever it is they did. Every win was against a team with a losing record, pretty much. So, I'm not worried about SMU, man. Promise you I'm not. What's your opinion of Becky Harmon? Say Brunson too small. I mean, historically, she's not wrong. Like, I don't really mind I don't mind that comment. How many small guards have won championships. Isaiah Thomas and probably, I don't even know, would you classify Chauncey Billups as a small guard, but those are the only two players that I can think of, like Steph Curry. So you're talking about those three players and Steph Curry's generational. Isaiah Thomas for a long time was considered the second greatest point guard next to Magic Johnson. Like a lot of people feel that Isaiah Thomas is definitely a top 5 point guard of all time, right? So you're talking about all timers there, and Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry. Chauncey Billups is not an all timer, but again, I don't know. Would you classify him as a small guard? I'm not so sure. I think Chauncey was 6'2" or 6'3", but he was built more like solid. But Brunson's built solid. I don't have a problem with what she said. But we'll see. We'll see. Can you see Kevin Knowles at the portal? Sure. I can see a lot of guys at the portal. I mean, ask yourself, if you're Kevin Knowles, what position is he? Is he going to stay at safety? Well, if he's staying at safety, you got to believe Conrad Hussey and Shaheem Brown are your two starters. A guy like Ashlyn Barker is going to have an opportunity here. Who do they get from the Kirkland coming back from injury? Like all of the DB spots are kind of loaded. Where does Kevin Knowles fit? You go back to the nickel. If Kevin Knowles goes back to nickel. Oh, okay. Well, Earl Little, Greedy Vance. Okay, Edwin has to get healthy, but that's at least 3 right there. Where does he fit in there? So absolutely, I think, I'm not saying he won't battle it out. I'm not saying he can't compete. I'm not saying he can't even win the job. But based off what we saw last year, I think Kevin Knowles could be one of those guys on the chopping block for sure. Would you be okay with LeBron joining the Knicks? Not if you got to trade for him, no. Now, if Bron wanted to come here as a free agent, I'm all for that. But there's no way I'm trading any asset for a 39-year-old LeBron James. No. What's up, Chad? We better not use any of our first-round picks on Bronny. I'm just going to be real with you. And again, if LeBron James wants to come during free agency, absolutely. But I ain't trading nothing for him. If we can get Bronny in the second round, I'd be cool with that. If Bronny's name wasn't Bronny, come on now. We wouldn't even – y'all know. If y'all seen him play. If he wasn't LeBron's son, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. And I'm not saying he's garbage or anything. I'm just saying if he wasn't LeBron's son, we wouldn't be even talking about Bronny. Let's just keep it a buck. No disrespect, Bronny is cheap. Again, I ain't saying he cheap, but let's just keep it a bean. Knowles and Greedy Vance leaving, going in the portal at all wouldn't surprise me. I don't think Greedy, because he's already transferred once, even though didn't that rule get lifted? So theoretically, Greedy could definitely go again. But Greedy's got a lot of friends. I mean, they all talked about it. Jalen Lucas, Dustin Hill, Jakai, all these guys, man, from Louisiana have this bond. I out of love. I don't foresee Greedy hitting the portability for sure. No, that's absolute facts. You can get Bronny as a walk on. You can get Bronny from the G League or something. I don't know. Shout out to Bronny. I just wouldn't use any assets to acquire a 40-year-old LeBron and his son. 4 rotation at DN. Well, it's probably that's probably fairly easy, as you got to think all 3 transfer portal players play, and then Pat Payton is not going to lose his spot, right? So that's my easy prediction there. I don't think You have two guys who could probably play the run better in Lolo and Tawambe. And then, of course, you got your kind of pure edge rushers in MJJ and Pat. So all four complement each other. I don't think we got to try to reinvent the wheel there or anything like that. Those are the guy. I mean, Byron Turner, I talked about it earlier. I don't know if you joined late, but yeah, Byron Turner is a guy who after spring, we're going to assess Byron Turner. And if you told me Byron Turner hit the transfer portal after spring, I wouldn't be shocked. He's going to have to compete, basically, is all I'm saying. I know with a lot of these guys that y'all or we want to name, I'm not saying they can't compete. I'm not saying they can't play. I'm not saying they won't play. I'm just saying they better show up. They better show up. So, no, absolutely. Byron Turner could be a guy who's definitely on the outside looking in, so to speak. Can Pat Payton get 10 sacks this upcoming season if he stays healthy? Well, he trends the right way. What did Pat finish with last? I know his first year, I believe he had 5. What did he finish with last year? 7 or 8, I think. So somebody can look that up. I'm not going to look it up. So his trajectory should speak to close to double-digit sacks. So the spring's definitely going to have a lot of storylines come spring. Running back room is going to be a storyline, right? I think your receivers are going to be a storyline. Hell, I think your tight end room's up for grabs. O-line is going to be a storyline. D-line, linebackers. I don't know. If you look at this entire roster, can you write any position other than DJ and Sharpie? Not so sure you can. Not so sure you can just Sharpie in your starters at this point, other than quarterback. Like even O-line. Like I can't. I'm assuming Maurice Smith is going to be at center. I have no idea who the guards are going to be at this point. No idea who your tackles are going to be. You could probably throw in your boy. What's his name? That's what you can tell. It's been a long time since I've talked this junk. What's his name? Byers. My assumption is Byers is going to be a starter somewhere on that line, most likely tackle. But I pencil him in. I don't know if I would, put it in ink. Farmer. We can pen on the D line. You can write in Pat and Farmer. I'm probably the only two. I'm probably Jackson. So 3 spots out of your 4 D linemen are probably going to be in Sharpie. But then I don't know if Jackson is necessarily in Sharpie. And then that other defensive end spot's going to be up for grabs for sure. A lot of stories. Linebackers. I couldn't tell you who the starters are going to be, especially if you ended up getting Cam Riley. No idea. Right now, my assumption is the starters are going to be a combination of Murphy, Lundy, and Graham. Would kind of be my guess. But how do I know Blake Nicholson doesn't take a step? What about Cryer? In the secondary, AZ, and then everybody else is competing. So, hey, I think, I think it's going to be one of the most interesting springs that we've had in a long time, because I think it's going to be up for grabs at most positions on the field for sure. Most positions on the field, I think, are going to be up for grabs. So everybody should look forward to that. So again, man, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Do all that good stuff for me. I know I haven't been live in a while, so we just here kind of catching up. But again, you see the point, right? Just kind of rehashing old talking points. There's not a lot to really dig into. just a lot of speculation at this point into the season. So that's kind of what where we're at with a lot of this stuff. I look kind of forward to seeing maybe some of the second and third string quarterbacks go at it. I think the running back competition is going to be very fun to watch because that's kind of a diverse position group right there. Hold on. What? I'm busy. Trying to think of some other stuff. As far as the team goes, I mean, that is what it is. What else we got, man? What else we got? What else is going on in the world of Florida State football? I'm trying to think. I don't see too much going on. Y'all been paying attention to Kobe. Kobe just got a statue. What y'all think about that statue? I saw the reveal. Shout out to Kobe for getting the statue. I don't want to be one of them guys. But I'm looking at the statue and I'm like, I think they could have did better. I think they could have got a better person to do it. Shout out to Kobe, man. Rest in peace. Have you done draft estimates? What do you mean? Have I done draft estimates? Like draft predictions? Florida State draft predictions? The draft is coming up. Probably should be some guys we're looking forward to seeing what NFL. Yeah, that's what I said. I said the statue is okay. I think, again, I think they could have did better with that statue. We can talk some Florida State players in the draft. That was something that happened recently. I didn't talk much about that, but shout out to Terrence. He went out to the East-West Shrine Bowl, I think he went to. The one that they had in Dallas, or not Dallas, but close to Dallas. He went out there. I couldn't make it. Apparently he got had some conversations, but for whatever reason wasn't able to get anything on tape. So it's all word of mouth. But he sent me some pictures. I just didn't really post anything. But I know at like the Senior Bowls and these other games, man, FSU was well represented. I know Fisk probably made himself a lot of money. That Ronaldo Green probably helped out his draft stock fairly well. So FSU had some good showings in those games. Who do I think runs the fastest 40? From Florida State? Trey Benson's got to be the guy, right? Trey Benson. I'm expecting Trey Benson to run in the 4.4s. Personally. So let's do that. Let's talk about some of the players and where I think they may go. So if we start with like the first round level talents, obviously it's Verse. Keon's an interesting one because Keon, if we're just being 100% fair and transparent, didn't finish the year strong. I mean, everybody talks about Florida State's quarterback situation down the stretch. We got to remember, man, Keon had some balls that he just flat out dropped. Would I be surprised if Verse run a 4.4? I'll say that I won't be surprised. But if he can run a 4.4, Verse is already going to go top 10 in my opinion. And I think he's going to run more 4.5. If he runs a 4.4, he might go top 5. If he runs a 4.4, Who has the number 1 pick this year, y'all? Is it Chicago? I think it's Chicago. So they're gonna take a quarterback, obviously, because if Verse runs a 4.4, he's gonna be in some talks for like where he would go in the top 5. Obviously, he won't go number 1 overall just because the quarterback position probably demands that. Where he runs a 4.4 versus see the difference between like top 10, top 15 to like top 5, I think. What's up, Kenny? But back to Keon, man. I think like Verse definitely first rounder. Keon again, he didn't finish the year strong. He also wasn't healthy down the stretch, to his defense. As we know, Keon was playing banged up. So a lot of Keon's first round potential is really going to be made in that combine. He's a big receiver with really good hands. There's some questions about, does he get enough separation in his route runs? How he performs at the combine with some of his testing is going to dictate where Keon goes. Because I see Montre saying Keon's top 15. I can see Keon top 15 only because recent draft trends, teams are treating wide receivers like quarterbacks in recent draft years. Like, they are reaching for receivers. So if Keon can run a 4.4, maybe even 4.5s. 4.5 is that's another one where I would kind of expect Keon to run. But if Keon can run sub 4.4, oh, okay, now he's going to be – I can see Keon going anywhere from – I don't know if he's top 15, but I'll say anywhere from 15 to like 45. I can see Keon going anywhere from there. I'm not convinced Keon's a first-round wide receiver. But I'm also not convinced that he's not, because teams might jump for a guy like Keon Coleman. And again, how he performs in that combine is kind of going to dictate where he goes. I hear you. Okay. I think Verse has enough on. I don't think 45 is a bad number. That's not a bad number. 45 is not a bad. You got the 32 teams in the NFL. What is 45? That's right outside a top 10 in the second round. That's not a bad number at all. It's not a bad number at all. It's all about value. Does Keon Coleman give me anything in the first round that I can't get anywhere else? Right? That's why I say I think Jarrett Verse is in that mold, because Jarrett Verse is going to test insanely well at the combine just as an athlete. I've seen guys, where did Chase Young, like I've seen guys like Jarrett Verse get drafted high with probably less college production than Jarrett Verse, which is why I think Jarrett Verse will definitely go. I think Jarrett Verse will go top 10. But all those early projections of Keon Coleman being a top 10 pick, I don't see that. I'm just going to be honest with you. Unless he goes out and runs a crazy 40 time, which his game didn't reflect crazy 40 time. I seen where Keon was projected to get picked by the Cowboys in the first. The Cowboys, do they need a receiver? I don't know. I'm not well versed in the Cowboys. Just know wherever Jarrett Verse goes, it's probably the team I'm rooting for next year. We will probably be wearing whatever colors Jarrett Verse goes. That'll probably be the team that y'all see me representing next football season in the NFL. As you know, I don't have an NFL team, so I'm thinking about going wherever an NFL team is going to draft me and Jarrett Verse on the same night. They just don't know it yet. Keon will go to the Carolina Panthers. Might be a Carolina Panther fan. Verse 12 to 18 range. What's up, Jerk? Bucks are also big candidates for Keon. Let's move on to, so we talked about Verse, we talked about Keon. Those are kind of your 2 first-rounded projected type of guys. After that, honestly, after that, probably the next guy off the board is Fisk. I think Fisk made a lot of money for himself. Now, the things that hurt Fisk, they don't drastically hurt Fisk because of the position he plays. Doesn't really dictate him to be super long. But doesn't have the biggest wingspan and all those things. But you're talking about a 3-tech or whatever, or not Verse, whatever Fisk is. I think we talked about that 45 range. Like, if Fisk is in that 45 range, I definitely think Fisk is in that 45 and down range. And I'm not necessarily would shock. I don't think he's a first rounder, but maybe it wouldn't shock me if Fisk was like 38 to 58 or something like that. I think Fisk is looking at the second round for sure. After the way he kind of dominated, man, he was really active, man. He put on a lot of good stuff. And there's going to be a lot of value. He said Fisk in the second to third. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of value with Fisk in that range right there, which is definitely where I think he'll get picked up. Right in that early, anywhere from the early second to early third. I don't think he makes it past like the mid third round. Who am I missing? I know I'm missing some guys. I'm trying to think of Trey Benson is Trey Benson's going to be a very interesting prospect. I don't think this is a great running back class. I don't know if it's as bad as people saying it is. I think this running back class is getting a little bit of a bad rap. I don't think it's as bad as people are trying to claim it is, but I don't think it's great. With that being said, we talk about freaks. Benson is one of those that's going to be a freak in the combine. We talk about Verse and where he's going to make his money in the combine. Trey Benson is a guy who's going to show up in the combine, 6'2", 6'1", whatever he's going to measure out as, 225 pounds, and he's going to be one of the fastest players at that size. He's going to be jacked. He's going to look like Adonis. Trey Benson's going to be one of those guys that definitely will look the part. It's just going to be a matter of that running back position, and we know how NFL feels about that position and paying that position money. I don't know. I don't expect to see any first round backs this year. Benson anywhere from probably the 3rd to the 4th round is probably where you'll see him. But he's probably, if you told me Benson tests the best out of every running back there, I would not be shocked before any of that. Bucks will go corner before they go receiver. I'm glad Cam Warren doesn't have but one receiver to throw to. Please, Verse, don't go to the Steelers. Again, wherever he goes, man, I'm going to get me a terrible towel if he goes to the Steelers. Keon to the Jags. Fisk is, read that one. Fisk going to be stiff wherever he goes. That sleeper guy for me is Kalen DeLoach. Let's talk about those. Montre, are you a Jags fan? Is D-line a need for the Jacksonville Jaguars, or should they be addressing their O-line? I'm not a Jags fan, and I'm just asking questions. What's going on with Trevor Lawrence? Did he take a step back this year? I feel like the Jags have a little bit more needs than maybe defensive line. I could be wrong. I'm just asking questions. I agree. I think Benson goes to the right situation for sure. Let's move to the linebackers because I saw somebody talking about DeLoach. The linebackers are interesting. Kalen's going to be undersized. So for Kalen at that size, he's going to have to really flash athletically. right? We keep going back to the combine. Kalen's gonna have to really put up. Gonna have to be like Telvin Smith, and I think Telvin went in the third round, and he eventually became an all pro at the Jags. For his career was cut short by off the field things. But Telvin was undersized, but Telvin also ran a 4.4 at the I don't know. Kalen's going to be interesting. He's going to have to test well because he's going to be undersized. So y'all should maybe be addressing O-line, right? And was he a fifth rounder? Man, I didn't know Telvin went that late. That's great. That was a great value then. That's great value. Trevor Lawrence turned into Tony Romo overnight. So maybe y'all should be addressing the O-line is my point. I don't think the Jags should be wasting picks on Braden Fisk. I'm just being honest with you. I don't think they should be wasting picks on Fisk. And that's kind of me just hoping that he doesn't go. I don't want to have to root for Fisk and he's playing for the Jags. I'm just going to keep it honest with you. I don't want to root for Fisk and he's playing for he's being wasted away in Jacksonville, as what tends to happen to players. Bethune, as we continue the linebacker talk, man, wouldn't shock me if he went undrafted. Yeah, I don't. Again, solid college linebacker. That's not somebody that I think might. I don't know how he's going to test. He'll have the typical or prototypical linebacker size, but is he going to have elite numbers at the combine and anything? If you told me Bethune went, we talk about fifth round here, anywhere from the fifth round down, I would believe that. And again, I could see Bethune not being drafted. Who are we missing? There's Lovett out there. I don't think Lovett has enough on tape to get drafted, if I'm being honest. Though I heard at the Senior Bowl he had he may have helped himself out a little bit there. But again, we talk about value. If you told me Lovett I forgot about Johnny. Let's get back to Johnny here. I forgot all about Johnny and Jaheim. We'll get back to them here in a second. We talk about Fabian Lovett with his injury history and all of those things. I think as an undrafted free agent, I think that's where I see Fabian Lovett. He'll get an opportunity, but I'm not so sure a team will waste a draft pick on him. Unless we're talking 6 to 7. I agree. Unless we're talking super late, I agree. But we're talking rounds 1 through 4. Nah, I don't see Fabo getting drafted. Johnny Wilson. We talked about Keon being. If you told me both FSU receivers went in the second round, I would thumbs up that. I think Johnny goes second to third round. Johnny's going to have, you talk about freaks, Johnny's going to be that freak. Johnny's going to be a freak. Johnny's going to be different than any other wide receiver in that draft. And those measurables alone are going to have him get drafted fairly high. I don't expect Johnny to run super fast, but that ain't his game. Speed's not his game. It's not going to matter to him. It's not going to matter to NFL teams. His wingspan is going to be huge. Obviously, just standing vert, all of those things. Just a jump ball guy. I think Johnny goes second round for sure. And again, I think if you told me that Keon went early second and Johnny went after that, I think that is probably what would end up happening. It's a lot of players that players can go and waste away. Jags been doing, but weren't the Jags 8? Weren't y'all 8-1 or something? Y'all had a crazy record at one point, 8-2 or something, and then lost. But I don't hate the Jags. I'm just saying I prefer Fisk not to go there. I'm just saying. Bethune, similar to Vince Williams. decent comparison there. I think Vince went in the 5th round or 4th round, and Vince Williams had a very solid NFL career with the Steelers, so it'd be possible. Jaheim is. I saw Jaheim's measurements from whatever bowl game he participated in. It might have been the Senior Bowl. I don't quite remember. Jaheim is a little bit shorter than I think some of us anticipated. 3 to 5 is a big gap, so you're not wrong. To be more specific, I think Jaheim goes in the 4th round. A comparison for Jaheim Bell to me would be Delanie Walker, who's a very good player. I don't know what round Delanie Walker got drafted, but I believe he went somewhere. He might have went later than the 4th round. I think Jaheim Bell goes somewhere in that 4th round or later. Delanie Walker will kind of be similar build, similar makeup. Delanie Walker, Jaheim Bell would be my comparison. So for me, I still think Jaheim could have stayed and made him a little bit more money, but it is what it is. Delanie Walker is my comparison there. I'm thinking 4th round for Jaheim Bell. Jarian's an interesting prospect because he had such a very he finished his career on such a high note. And I actually think Jarian, as far as being an athlete, I think Jarian will test. I think Jarian will test fairly well at the combine. So for him, it's going to be very interesting. He'll probably be one of the longer corners in the draft. I think at 6'1"-ish, but kind of like long arms. Yeah, I think interesting, man. I don't know if I have a somebody said Jarian is definitely a 4th to 5th rounder. It probably makes the most sense. I forgot about Ronaldo. I'll say this. I think Ronaldo will get drafted before Jarian. I think Ronaldo may get drafted before Jarian, but I'll say this: I would not be shocked if Jarian had better numbers, combine numbers than Ronaldo Green. If you told me that Jarian had better cone drill, better 40 time, jumped higher, jumped long, all of that stuff, with maybe the exception of the bench, I think Jarian probably tests better than Ronaldo, which could see his draft stock rise. So I'll say that. I would argue that Jarian and Ronaldo might be around the same, in terms of where they place in the draft, they probably around the same area, 4th to 5th round. Kenny thinks Bell will be a running back in the NFL. Again, like I said, Delanie Walker is who I would compare Jaheim Bell to if we're talking about tight end. You know who Jaheim can be? I got a controversial. Well, let's hear it. What's your controversial comparison? What's up, Grand Champion? And I think we covered everybody, right? I'm not missing anybody. I think we got and there's Jordan Travis. With all due respect to Jordan Travis, man, we love you. And you're one of the top 4 quarterbacks in FSU's history. I'm just going to go ahead and say that right now. Jordan Travis probably goes undrafted. Aaron Hernandez. I don't know. Again, my problem with Jaheim Bell is he's not. I'm just going to Google it real quick. But wasn't Aaron Hernandez at least 6'3"? Jaheim Bell's only 6'1", y'all. He's not much over 6 foot tall. No, Aaron Hernandez was only 6'1". So, okay. Maybe you get to the right system. Possibly. Ronaldo's a late 3rd round pick. That'd be good for Ronaldo. If Ronaldo Green went in the third round, that's a great pickup for him. Yeah, I don't see it. I mean, I see why people see it. I just don't see it. Right? I see why people see it. I'm just not sure I see it. Just again, that's just my opinion, though. No, yeah, you're right. They around the same size. So it'd be interesting to see where some of these guys go. What doesn't really get talked about enough in the NFL is, frankly, a lot of your success just depends on where you go. It's like when I root for a guy, I forgot about Akeem. Give me a second. But when I forgot all about Akeem. And I'm a huge Akeem Dent fan. I can't even believe. That shows you how many guys we got draft eligible this year. But when I root for a guy, I just don't want a guy to go to an organization that's going to, there's organizations in the NFL that we know are just going to waste talent. The Jaguars are one of them. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry to Jag fans. Not trying to be mean to y'all or hurt y'all feelings. But you got to tell me, Jalen Ramsey wanted out of there. Like, guys go to the Jags and either they disappear or they want to get the hell up out of there, right? Oakland's another, or Las Vegas now. So that's another organization that guys go there and they never get heard from again. There's just certain organizations, man, that I don't want to see certain players go and waste away at. So if you're a fan of any of those teams, I apologize. Then again, I could also be rooting for one of those teams. Again, whoever drafts Jared Verse. Hakeem. I'm thinking undrafted for Hakeem. Because nothing about Hakeem, I think, is going to be considered elite, from the measurables to combine numbers. I think everything's going to be kind of good. Probably not enough for a team to take. But 6 to 7, anywhere from 5 down for Hakeem. So if you told me he got drafted anywhere from the 5th round down, makes a lot of sense to me. Hernandez is a bad comp. He was one of the best in the league. Why is that a bad comp? Who says Jaheim Bell can't be one of the best in the league? He could be one of the best in the league. Jordan, probably 5 or 7 for me. I'll be honest with y'all. I don't know. I really don't. Washington's another team that talent just goes to waste. I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. And you know me, I don't let the colors blind my assessments, especially when we start talking about the next level. Like I'm very biased at the collegiate level. I'm very just blunt. I don't see Jordan Travis getting drafted, especially after a quarterback like Travis, whose strengths are going to be considered as athleticism, but because of his ankle, he's not going to be able to participate and show off that athleticism. Nobody's going to draft Jordan Travis off of his arm. We're either going to draft him a combination of athleticism and the fact that he's a very smart player, but no one's going to take Jordan Travis because he can throw the ball 70 yards down the field or can put it on a rope and squeeze it in a tight window. So with him not being able to participate in certain drills and show off that athleticism, which a lot of quarterbacks don't even compete in the combine anyway, especially if they have a lot to lose. I think Jordan will have a lot to gain. I don't see a team drafting him unless they just like it, unless he just kills it in the interview process. And, you get a guy who, backup quarterback is a job in the NFL that we don't talk about a lot enough. Very important position, believe it or not, the backup quarterback. So, but I don't know, man. I don't know if a team drafts him. I'm just being 100% honest with you. I don't know if a team pulls a draft pick on Jordan Travis. But could Jordan Travis be Brock Purdy? Sure. But it would be, you say 5 to 7, it'd be 6 to 7 to me if a team were to take a flyer on Jordan Travis. Because at that point, you kind of don't have anything to lose anyway. So, Jags and the Raiders have been career enders for a couple of decades. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. You take a bet Jordan Travis gets drafted. I ain't going to bet it, but I feel pretty good. Players should just be grateful to get drafted. No entitlement. I hear you. You should just be happy to get drafted. Yeah, man. If you want to talk about the 90s, absolutely, man. Fred Taylor. Y'all had some other guy. Keenan McCardell. Yeah, good Mark Brunell. Yeah, some good guys, man. We're 20, 30 years removed from them. But you had some good guys back in the day. And I think, but that, Kenny, to your point, I think that's another thing that could keep him from getting drafted. What if he don't want to change positions? I don't know. Obviously, I don't know his thoughts on that. But the man worked so hard. I would argue to a detriment, but hell, we went 13-0, so I can't say to a detriment of the team. But at times, it felt like it was a detriment to the team. He worked so hard to be a pocket passer when we wanted him to take off and run, when he had opportunities to take off and run and wouldn't take them. He worked so hard to prove he could throw the ball. At this point in his career, why would he want to move to wide receiver? You know? I don't know why he would want to do that. Maybe he does it. I'm just not sure why he would want to. But it should be a very interesting draft for the Florida State players for sure. We'll at least have a guaranteed first rounder. Again, I think Keon's kind of on the fringe there. I think Keon started off very hot and he ended kind of very cold. That it had a lot of people questioning what happened. We know he was banged up. Quarterback injury also didn't help. So we'll see what happens with Keon. At a minimum, FSU has one guaranteed first rounder, I believe. They could have at least, if Keon doesn't go first, he's definitely, I think, going to go second. I think Johnny goes second. And then once you hit the third and fourth rounds, be on the lookout for, I think Fisk can go second. So you might have three guys in the second. You have maybe a Trey Benson, Jaheim Bell flirt with the third and the fourth rounds and under. So should be a good draft if you're a Seminole fan, obviously. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. Above average to decent arm talent. I don't know. Did that get you drafted in the NFL? Anthony Richardson, who we can all sit here and talk about Anthony Richardson this and Anthony Richardson that. I told everybody this time last year, Anthony Richardson was going top 5. And everybody told me I was crazy. Oh, he can't read a defense. Why did he go top 5? Elite athlete. Jordan Travis ain't going to get a chance to show off his athlete. Plus, he's not 6'4", 240 pounds like Anthony Richardson. And he doesn't have a cannon on his shoulder like Anthony Richardson. That stuff gets you drafted big time. If you're Jordan Travis, you're getting drafted Brock Purdy-ish areas, right? Again, if you told me he was going to be this year's Brock Purdy, then okay, probably. I'm just being honest, and that's not me doubting him. That's me looking at it from the perspective of the NFL draft. We'll have at least 10 players drafted this year. Jordan getting drafted in the 6th, Kalen getting drafted 5th to 6th. So let's talk about how many players for sure we think get drafted. Obviously, Verse. Obviously, Keon. Obviously, Johnny. Obviously Fisk. Obviously Bell. That's 5. So we're halfway to the 10. Who am I missing? Deloach. I won't say once you get past those 5, I don't want to say it's obvious. But I got a good feeling that Deloach gets drafted. That's 6. That Jarian will get drafted. That's 7. Y'all, I think that's it in terms of good feelings. Because after that, I can't guarantee you that Lovett, Dent, Jordan Travis, I feel like I'm forgetting someone else. I know I'm forgetting someone else. Lovett, Dent, Jordan Travis, Bethune. I can't guarantee you that those guys get drafted. Benson. I forgot Benson. So 8, right? We stopped at 7. Trey Benson. Or did I say Benson? Let's do it again. Jaheim Bell. Let's start from the top. Jarrett Verse, Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Braden Fisk, Trey Benson, Jaheim Bell, Kalen DeLoach. I get stuck at 7 again. Who am I missing? Jarian Jones. That's 8. Ronaldo Green, 9. I'll stop at 9. After that, I don't think after 9. I think Peter Shields got the number right. I think 9. I think 9 is where we're at. I feel good about FSU getting 9 players drafted. After Ronaldo Green, again, I can't guarantee you Dent, Lovett, Travis, or Bethune. I can't guarantee you those 4. For all different reasons, I just can't guarantee you those 4. You very well could have anywhere from 9 to 11. You're like, if you told me a team took Lovett late because he's shown flashes, if you told me a team took Dent because of DBs and special teams, it's possible, definitely possible. What I will say is every player that is eligible for the draft this year, I do believe every single player will get a camp invite for sure. So those that don't get drafted will definitely get picked up in the free agency and will get an opportunity to be on an NFL roster. That I am pretty sure of. But I think 9 for sure. I feel pretty good about 9. I feel pretty good about 9 players getting drafted. Who would I lean towards out of Jordan Travis, Tatum Bethune, Akeem Dent, and Fabian Lovett? Out of those 4, so we got to take into account position. We got to take into account, mainly the position. What is going to be looked at probably in the late, because we're talking about all kind of later draft picks here. That's kind of tough. I think Fabo goes undrafted. So now you have Akeem Dent, Tatum Bethune, Jordan Travis. Because of position, I can see people saying Jordan Travis, right? He's a quarterback, and you can get him late, get him healthy, and maybe he brings something to your team. Okay. With all the receivers, if you told me Akeem Dent got picked late, that wouldn't shock me, because as you draft receivers, got to draft DBs. And then Tatum Bethune, out of those 3, Tatum Bethune probably is going to have some of the better tape. We didn't have any O-line declared for the draft. Well, Dimitri Emmanuel, I guess. But I don't, right? What O-line did we lose? We lost Casey Roddick. We lost Meach. I guess technically we do. I guess technically they are putting their name in for the NFL draft, but Yeah, I don't. It's a good point. I forgot about those two, but I don't foresee either one of them. The only problem with Meach, if Meach was 6'4" instead of 6'2", 6'1", he's a little bit on the smaller side. And unless he's going to snap the ball at the next level, but maybe Dimitri Emmanuel could see the NFL potentially. Possible. Roddick will have maybe the size. Doesn't have great tape, though. Would not shock me if Jordan. But, a backup quarterback job in the NFL for a few years would actually help him become a better coach, right? For sure. So big time, or, definitely looking forward to the NFL draft for the Noles. And I don't think this thing slows down. I think way too early. Like, what are some guys that you would look to in like next year's draft when you start talking about the talent? Like, way too early. I'm gonna tell you right now. This is actually a conversation I had with a buddy of mine. So we'll just talk about this for a little bit before we get out of here. I thought this was I was asked the question from some guys at work who they were just talking some ball. And I was asked which out of the big three, at FSU, obviously Florida State, FSU, Florida, and Miami, who has the better quarterback for next year, right? But what fan base should feel the most confident in their quarterback? And I really sat down and thought about that. And the answer might shock you. Believe it or not, I think the Gators should have the most confidence. I'm not saying Mertz is the best. What I am saying is Mertz did actually, if you actually go back and watch, Mertz did not play bad. Gators had a lot of problems, and they're going to have a lot of problems this year. Mertz did not play bad, though. Mertz did not play bad football last year. So if you want to talk about the single team that should have the most confidence in their quarterback, it should be Florida. Because not only did Mertz not play bad last year, he's going to be in the second year of the system. So you know what he was. You know what you're getting. You expect anytime a guy is going to have another year in the same system to have some improvement. Now, the problem with Mertz, like if we let's do it like this. I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons, right, of all these three quarterbacks. I think this is an interesting conversation. And I think it leads into what I was talking about, why I got on this subject when I said you look at next year's draft and the interesting players FSU has. And I'm mainly speaking about our quarterback. But if you go down it, Mertz, Florida fans should have the most confidence in their quarterback because he's a returning starter for them who played well. They're still only going to win like 4 games. But that's the schedule. And the downside to Mertz is I don't know if Mertz kind of showed me last year that he's not going to lose you any games, but he's not going to win you any games either. That's the downside when you talk about Graham Mertz. We throw out the term game manager, and game manager is not a bad term to throw out. Most quarterbacks should just be able to manage games. But what I'm saying is Mertz isn't going to win you. He's not going to put the ball in his hands and take you to the promised land type of guy. And when you're talking about a team that maybe has some deficiencies like the Gators or their young team around Mertz or whatever excuse the Gator fans want to come up with of why Florida's going to have another losing season, that's the downside with Mertz. We'll go Miami next. If you go Cam Ward, the plus side to Cam Ward from Miami is out of all the 3 quarterbacks, Mertz, DJ, and Cam has, in my opinion, the best overall arm talent. That doesn't mean when you say arm talent, it don't mean he throw the ball the hardest or the farthest or the strongest, but he can make every throw on the field and deliver it at different velocities, whether that's touch, whether you got to fit it through a window, where you got to put it right over a defender's head, lead a receiver open. Cam Ward has the best arm out of the three quarterbacks, in my opinion. If you're Miami, that's why you should be very excited about Cam Ward. He's the best purely arm talented quarterback you've had in God knows how long. I can't name the last one. I'm sure a Miami fan will come up with a name. If you're Miami, you should be scared to death of the turnovers. Now you have to ask yourself a question. Were those turnovers a product of him just trying to do too much at Washington State? Does he have a fumble problem? And quite frankly, if I'm being honest, if you're a Miami fan, you should question your offensive coaching as well. As of right now, that staff does not have a good track record of anything they've done with any quarterback they've plugged in there, whether it's Ja'Carri Brown, Emory Williams, or TVD. You gotta, and a Miami fan said this on Twitter, and it was hilarious, and I laugh about it, but I'll echo the sentiments. It's kind of jokingly, but it's kind of serious at the same point. I question Cam Ward's decision-making by choosing Miami instead of going to the NFL draft. And a Miami fan said that, and I laughed when I heard it, but I think he was on to something. Because if you came back to improve your draft stock, why the hell did you choose that? Why did you choose the offense that has looked like that under the Mario Cristobal era? So if you're a Miami fan, you got to be a little worried about that. And you're going to find out, is it the offense or was your quarterbacks just not talented? Well, I think you got a talented one. Let's see how he turns out. And as far as FSU goes, when we go to DJ, the plus with DJ is, and this leads me to why I even got into this conversation and to agree with, DJ Uiagalelei. If you were drawing up a Madden NCAA 25 quarterback, he would look like that. He'd be 6'5", 250, 99 throwing power, 82 speed overall, trucking at a 90. He'd be that. If you were drawing up a creative character and putting him in a Heisman mode and saying, that's who you'd make. You'd make DJ Uiagalelei. The problem with DJ is, and every Florida State fan has to ask himself this question, why does he have all the potential in the world, but this far in his career, he hasn't fulfilled it? Is that a coaching thing? Is that he hasn't been in the right system yet? Or is that some guys just don't live up to the potential. Some guys have all accuracy 84, that'd get me where I gotta go. 84 accuracy, that'd get me where I gotta go. Believe me. But some guys have all the measurables in the world, and they just don't live up to it. Terrell Pryor. We can go down a list of guys. If you're the negative part of DJ is an FSU fan, you have to ask, why isn't he in the NFL already? Because he looks the part. We know he's got a cannon for an arm. Again, if you were drawing up the modern day, prototypical modern day quarterback, it would be DJ, who can run, throw, and all of that. But why isn't he right now in the NFL? So those are the three quarterbacks and how I kind of view all three. I think all three fan bases should have some excitement in their quarterback rooms and some definitely some questions and doubts. And that's how I view it. That's how I view all three of those quarterbacks. Clemson offenses, yeah. Going back to DJ, so you have to actually guys like DJ, you got to give them. Here's where you got to give DJ Uiagalelei the benefit of the doubt, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe he had a different offensive coordinator every year at Clemson, or at least the years he was starting. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong there, but he hasn't had stable offenses. Clemson's offense has obviously shown that even when they bench DJ for Klubnik, it ain't like it got. You could argue it got worse. Klubnik has not been some vast improvement over DJ. So is Klubnik also not talented? When he went to Oregon State, though he didn't put up a bunch of gaudy numbers, the numbers say he was a more efficient quarterback at Oregon State, right? So he did show improvement at Oregon State. His efficiency picked up at Oregon State. So again, you have to just ask yourself about DJ. Why hasn't he he's shown glimpses of NFL potential, but why hasn't he put it all together yet? And can Mike Norvell get it all out of him? This season is going to matter a lot for DJ because, again, DJ looks like Terrell Pryor. DJ looks like, I don't know if you guys remember this name, and you should know this name because he plays tight in the NFL, but what you may not know is that he was a quarterback at Virginia Tech, Logan Thomas. Guys like that who look like studs, big athletes, cannon for arms, but just don't live up to the potential of it. You have to ask yourself why. I mean, Terrell Pryor, I think if I'm not mistaken, was a 1,000-yard receiver in Oakland, but they moved him from quarterback to receiver. Receiver, he kind of had his most success. But there's another guy who, I remember Terrell Pryor being considered like the LeBron James of college football at one point. Like he had, I can't think of a prospect with more hype than Terrell Pryor since Terrell Pryor. If somebody can help me out, if you can think of a high school football player with more hype than Terrell Pryor had coming out of high school, because I don't see it. DJ Uyunglele was rated extremely high coming out of high school. I'm not saying he had that hype, but remember, DJ was having Pepsi commercials and all of that too. Can he put it all together in his final year in college football? Mike Norvell and Tony's Tokars and Coach Atkins, can they get that out of him? And a lot of that's going to be how they use him, what they ask him to do, and what they put around him. I've said it before. I love the weapons that they have put around him. I love the weapons that they have put around him to take advantage of that big arm. I'm interested to see what they do. Out of all three of those guys, though, Cam Ward will definitely get drafted. Mertz is an interesting one. I think DJ has the most stock to gain from a good year, though. I absolutely think DJ Uyunglele has the most stock to gain. Because people look at J.J. McCarthy, and people are like, you'll be surprised what NFL GMs are saying about that Michigan quarterback who didn't, at times, whatever. Say what you want about him. But they're looking at him. They're looking at his measurables. They're looking at his stature. They're looking at what he's bringing to the table in terms of arm and all that. NFL GMs are liking what they're seeing out of McCarthy, for better or for worse. They're not always correct. But again, DJ's built like that. NFL scouts are going to get a look at that guy and go, ooh, can he put it on the field? Because if he can put it on the field this fall, I'm not going to go first round, but he's going to have first round level. He's going to look like a first rounder coming off the bus. We'll see, though. We'll see. He did pretty well at Oregon State. We'll see if he can open it up this year. DJ won a lot of games. He won 21 games in 2 years. Pope, do you think we can go undefeated again with DJU or no? Well, it's more than just DJU. Because let's just keep it a buck. That D-line was special. What's the likelihood that D-line just picks up where the other one left off? Like, it has a lot more to do with just DJ. Okay? That D-line was nasty. That's one of the best D-lines I've watched. That D-line was nasty. Like, I'd have to really sit down and think about it, where I would rank that D-line with some of the D-lines that I've watched, because Bjorn Warner and Tank Carradine and Everett Dawkins, I think Niall Lawrence Stamper and them boys at that time, that was a nasty D-line. Lawrence Stamper actually might be after that group. I might have just thrown him in there. But I know the Everett Dawkins, the Tank Carradines, the Bjorn Warner, nasty D-line. Obviously, your national championship D-line with Mario and Eddie and Jernigan and Jacoby. But in my opinion, it's right up there. It's in the conversation with those D-lines we've watched in the past. The Cameron Wembley and Broderick Bunkley D-line, like it's right up there. What's the likelihood, though, that we're repeating that? Again, I'm not saying they don't got talent. Marvin Jones Jr. has all the talent in the world. Pat, all the talent in the world. Farmer. But what's the likelihood? Probably not so high. What's the likelihood that we got Keon and Johnny on this team again right now? I don't know. So it's not really about DJ, about going undefeated. That was a team last year, which makes what happened to us even that more egregious, that we were left out of the playoff because we were not a one-man band, as we continued to prove, even with all due respect to Jordan Travis. But after he went down, we continued to win football games, which makes, and again, never let it go. And I'm never going to let it go. And I'm never going to fail to bring it up. But never let that go. What happened? Because that was a team last year. Was not a one-man band. So we'll see. I don't want to put all of that on DJ's shoulders. But we'll see. If our run game is more consistent this year, DJ will flourish. I think DJ is going to be a major factor in that run game, which could open up some lanes for the running backs. But unlike Jordan Travis, who I understand, and obviously we know how the season ended for him, I don't think they're going to be as shy to run 6'5", 250 pounds. I don't think they're going to be as shy. Trevor Lawrence may have had similar Terrell Pryor hype, but I don't think they had that. Again, I remember Terrell Pryor and what was being said about him coming out of high school. I do think Trevor Lawrence had a level of hype to him. I agree with that. Deshaun Watson was good. I don't think Deshaun Watson didn't have the Trevor Lawrence hype. Trevor Lawrence did have a decent amount of hype coming out of high school. If we get 11 players drafted this year, we will tie the 2013 team and 2015 team. And we set the NFL record with 29 draft picks in 3 years. DJ has the opportunity to change the narrative about himself. Absolutely. Like I said, he has the opportunity to make himself a first rounder. I'm not saying he will. I'm saying, but I believe he has the opportunity. Yes, you are right. Uwe can score points, but you also have to stop teams too. Best D-line since 2015. 2015 is a good D-line. A lot of big names on that D-line too, especially when you talk about those names right there, all in the NFL. And one guy's about to play in the Super Bowl this Sunday, and Nani about to win. I think Nani's about to, if he wins, this would be Nani's third Super Bowl. I know he won one already. Did he win the first Super Bowl with was he on the team then? I don't remember. But Sweat and Burns are two of the better pass rushers in the NFL. Like Sweat, I don't think most people thought Sweat was good. Like Sweat is way better in the NFL, which makes sense because if you remember the injury he had, it just took him years to get. But Sweat is way better in the NFL than he was in college. Malik and Benson and Hakeem gonna be big this year. I really look forward to seeing Hakeem. Really do. And I want Malik Benson to be that guy. I do want Malik Benson to be that guy. So I'm shocked that I even did 2 hours because I didn't plan on doing 2 hours, but y'all got me talking a little bit of football. So you can see when I start talking football again, I got a little excited. So I went a little bit longer than I normally do or than I normally anticipated because, again, it just hasn't really been a lot to talk about, but y'all got me a little excited tonight, especially when you start talking about the draft. And it feels good, man, to just talk football and not have to troll things. That's one of the things that just has kept me away a little bit. Like I'm on Twitter, And even if you follow me on Twitter, you realize like I haven't even been engaging that much on Twitter when it comes to this Florida State stuff, because everybody just wants to sit back, and I can't go back and forth with fan bases. If what's Florida on their third straight losing season, like I can't go back and forth with you. Miami fans have all this stuff to talk about Mike, and Mike's win percentage as a head coach is better than Cristobal. Cristobal's a 500 coach. Like, so if we can just talk football, I love it. So y'all got me a little excited tonight. But again, I think FSU fans should be excited. DJ's got a lot on his plate this year because he can really put himself in a conversation. Because when you look at next year's quarterback class, we'll kind of end it on this. But when you look at next year's quarterback class, let me ask you, who? Carson Beck, Shedeur Sanders. I'm trying to think of quarterbacks that I'm looking at next year and I'm going for sure, right? And the two off the bat are Shedeur and whether I think I'm higher on Beck than some. I think I'm higher on Carson Beck than some. It's going to be interesting to see how Carson Beck plays without Brock Bowers and what's the guy's name? McConkey. Without some of those guys, I'm very interested to see how Beck looks this year. I'm a little bit higher on Beck than I think some. But Beck, Shedeur, who I think can be a top 10 pick, Shedeur Sanders can be. Those are probably the two guys just off the top of my head. DJ can put himself in the mix there. This year was the year of the quarterback. They're like this year's draft is going to be very interesting to watch. Obviously, the top two names. Oh, Ewers. I forgot about Quinn Ewers for next year. Quinn Ewers. So that's probably the top three quarterbacks in next year's draft. Ewers, Shedeur, Beck. And then the next group, Cam Ward, maybe DJ Uiagalelei. I know I'm probably forgetting some names, but I don't know where Graham Mertz fits in that, but potentially Mertz. What kind of impact you think Cam Davis is going to have this year? I think he'll get some solid carries. Anthony, I think if Cam Davis can run for 400 yards, I think that's a success. And that's not a knock on Cam. That's just you expect the ball to be dished out a lot, right? With Roydell and LT and Keziah, right? So I'm not putting the weight of the world on Cam Davis, and nor should it be put on his shoulders, because you have enough talent. Barring injuries, you have enough talent for Cam to have an impact, but that doesn't mean he has these gaudy numbers. He just has a solid impact. Ohio State's QB should get a little more popular next year. Who? Grill Master, I might have. Who? Nussmeier at LSU is going to be an interesting guy to watch too, by the way. Marcus Dupree, running back, and Jadeveon Clowney was hype. Jadeveon Clowney had a lot of hype for sure. I agree with that. I remember Jadeveon and how big it was for him to stay at to go to South Carolina. I remember the Clowney hype for sure. But man, with all that said, y'all, this was actually fun. Again, I'm gonna reiterate. This is the last live stream with me in America. I don't know when the next time y'all see me, because I gotta go get settled in a whole nother country. I might have to do just like little video clips and upload those until I even know how my living situation is gonna be there. But yeah, we're probably gonna do majority of next season in a whole nother country, and it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be different. So hit the like button, subscribe, share. As always, it's your boy POLK here, 863 Seminole TV. I look forward to covering the spring and all that stuff. But yeah, don't know when the next time y'all going to hear from me. But I'll try to I'll definitely have my hand on the pulse of everything going on. But as far as like content, As you've seen it slowed down. I don't know when I'm really gonna pick it back up, just because I don't know what it's gonna look like. But don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. Content might slow, but we're gonna pick it back up. But y'all stay classy, Seminoles, and we are out here. Go Noles. And I'm gonna kick it with y'all another time. I promise you. I just don't know when, but I'll be back. Y'all have a good rest of y'all night. And yeah, I'll holla.